Ho, I have been waiting for today because we're taking the Moog off to Moog to get serviced. So let's box this thing up, go through a drive in Asheville. Yeah, look at this thing. It's literally almost as tall as me. I can fit in here. You might be able to actually put the top on. Now, what's interesting about this is the box does say 1 on it. So obviously there wasn't a box that came with this. And here's the serial. It's just got a little tape over it. Looks like there's nothing. When someone took this home from Moog, they just snagged the old box. We're ready to go. Been a little longer than I hoped. I ended up having to go out of town for about 2 weeks, so a little behind schedule, plus they're behind schedule on actually getting things fixed, but I'm taking it right now and excited to see what happens once they get in there. I already took a whole bunch of pictures of the inside, so I know exactly what's there, what was there. I made some requests, if they are even able to fix it. And let's say they have to replace the voice controller board. Is it possible to just change it to a 16 voice? I'm curious as to what the options actually are for this synth and what it can become.
This is Jack, a service technician here at Moog Music. I have your Multiply on my bench for repair.
My end goal for it is to put it in the studio and to put it to work. I want to use it in music. I want to use it in my compositions, my trailer compositions especially. I've never used a Moog one before, so being able to have one at home, especially for the price that I got it for, would be insane. Although we don't know what it's going to cost to repair. It could be extremely cheap. It could be a really expensive and costly repair if multiple boards have to be replaced. But I made sure to let them know, and I even included a letter that I'm going to give to them that specifies, not to mess with the chassis or the paneling. I like it exactly how it is, and I want to keep it as true to the prototype as I can while making sure it can be functional.
I have been testing and troubleshooting the Multiply to try and get some semblance of normal function back, but have not had much luck getting it to behave any better than when you had it.
This isn't a vintage synth. Let me be clear about this. This is 2016, so it's a relatively new synth. But vintage synths in general are always like a risky move because you don't know how old the components are, especially like the capacitors. Most of the time they need to be recapped and a lot of things need to be replaced, and those parts are hard to find. And also by changing components, it changes the way it sounds because they're not old and used and saturated.
Unfortunately, after working on the instrument for a few days and replacing many of the boards, I still am not getting a lot of life out of the instrument. It is still running the same cycle of not fully booting up and restarting, and there is no sound coming from it either. It is not in a condition that some board swaps will resolve, as we had initially considered.
Either way, cool piece of history to have in the studio, and I love that I got it here in Asheville, and it will hopefully forever live here in Asheville.
The main panel board, controller board, SOM, and voice cards were all swapped out with no improvement to its condition.
Moog Multiply, let's bring it back to life. Let's get it rocking. Thanks for being along on this journey and seeing what happens with the synth. Stay tuned for more content, and we will see you next time. I need to drive safely. We out of here.
Hi, Matt, I hear you, but unfortunately,